Okay, good friends, we have a lot to discuss today. There's a very beautiful and famous Rashi that every yeshiva boy and girl learns because we have a ikar, a real principle of what it is to be a Jew from it. And it's all actually in the build-up to Kriyat Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea. We know that the Red Sea split for the Jewish people, and it appears beautifully in the parsha, in the portion of the week. What's very interesting over here is the reaction of the Jewish people to being trapped before they were able to enter into the Red Sea in order to escape their pursuers, the Egyptians, the Mitzrayim. And the Torah goes out of its way to describe the feelings, emotions, and what they did while over there. And the parasha tells us, the Torah tells us very interestingly, that the Jewish people started to get scared. They lifted up their eyes. They saw the Mitzrayim behind them, the Egyptians. In front of them was the Yam Suf, which at this point they didn't know was going to split. And to the right and the left were scorpions, snakes, and a very scary wilderness and desert. What did they do? They got very scared. V'yitzaku b'nei Yisrael al Hashem, and they shouted out to Hashem. They cried out to Hashem. What is tza'aka? So the rabbis tell us that tza'aka is one of 10 expressions that we have of tefillah, of prayer. That's what Rashi tells us. V'yitzaku. And before Rashi tells us that this word is a code word for prayer, for tefillah, he says that the Jewish people downloaded some information that they had been aware of before this point as well. V'yitzaku, says Rashi, tafsu umnot avotam. They grabbed on, they held on to the umnut, the craft, the trade of their forefathers. And then Rashi proceeds to say, we know that Avram Avinu prayed as well. He prayed in the morning, and Yitzchak prayed Suach Basadeh in the afternoon, and Yaakov Paga, he prayed at nighttime when he reached the mountain of the future site of the Beit HaMikdash, Har HaMoriah. So Rashi says, the Jewish people knew at this point that it was a time for prayer. What type of prayer? Tza'akah, to scream out to Hashem for redemption. And where do they understand, says Rashi, how do they know that this is a response to a challenging or difficult time and occasion? So Rashi says, I'll tell you, because there were traditions that were passed down from the Avot and Imaot. And those traditions involved a number of things. Primarily it is that we, at times of challenge and difficulty, pray to Hashem. Now there is a machloket, a disagreement, the Rambam and the Ramban, Maimonides and Nachmanides, and that is it a mitzvah to pray every single day? Is that a mitzvah? According to the Rambam, absolutely. There is a mitzvah, aseh, for men and women, to pray every single day. That is what we do. It is part of our rituals, talking to Hashem, and when you do that, you do a mitzvah d'oraita. Just by now, how much do you have to do? That's a very good question. Seemingly, just talking to Hashem, asking for your basic needs, or praising Hashem, or just talking to God Baruch Hu in general, talking to God in general, is enough. That suffices your mitzvah, according to the Ramban. The Ramban says no. You could pray every day, but the obligation to pray, you actually see over here, and that is when you find yourselves in a place of danger, in a place of difficulty and challenge. It's at that point the Torah mitzvah of tefillah kicks in. That's where it is found. When you pray to Hashem at times of difficulty, at that point, boom, you have the mitzvah. What's interesting is the response to this tefillah. Because we know that Moshe Rabbeinu cried out to Hashem as well. And what was the response? now's not the time to pray. It's unusual, right? You would have thought this would be the optimum time to pray to Hashem when your life is in danger. And Hashem says, Tzu, just go. Tell the Jewish people, stop talking to me, and tell them to move forward. It's time to take action. So there are times for prayer, and there is time to take action, and he says, time to go. What? He doesn't go like the Rambam. The Jewish people like to go like the Rambam. Obviously, this is a joke. The Ramban didn't exist, but their ideas do. The Rambam and the Ramban had to get their ideas from somewhere, and this is where they found it. So here we have a little background to the idea of prayer. Prayer predates Har Sinai, right? Most of the mitzvot were given at Har Sinai, and that's when we start to keep them. What the rabbis are telling us is that no, some ideas predate the idea of Har Sinai, and prayer, tefillah, is one of them. And he traces it back to the Avot. Where do the Avot get it from? That's a good question. Where do the Avot and the Ima'ot know that they should pray? Where does that go back to? It goes back to Adam and Chava. We know that Adam was in Gan Eden. Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. And they needed things. They needed the vegetables and the fruits and the trees to come up. Although they were created before them, the rabbis tell us that those items were held under the earth. It wasn't until Adam and Chava came along and prayed. They turned to Hashem and said, we need fruits and vegetables. Hashem said, no problem. You pray. In the merit of your prayer, I'll bring down the rain. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually didn't complete creation till after Adam and Chava arrived, so that they should pray. This is why prayer, whenever you see something predating Matan Torah, specifically, and definitely predating the Avot or existing at the time of the Avot, it applies to everyone, meaning everyone who lives on earth. This idea of tefillah is not exclusive to the Jewish people. It exists for every nation throughout the entire world. Everyone's prayers to God are listened to, irrespective of their geographical location, their religion. Everyone, praise Hashem, listens to all tefillot, no matter what language you pray in. Although the best language to pray in is Lashon Kodesh, there is something intrinsic in Hebrew that allows prayers to go directly to Hashem. But if a person, I get this question a lot, does not know how to read Hebrew, doesn't know how to read Hebrew, what should they do? And the answer is they should pray in a language that they understand. You should pray in English if you know English. You should pray in French if you know French. If you know English but not French, you shouldn't pray in French. You have to know what you're saying. But let's say you don't know what the words mean in Hebrew. Is it better to pray in Hebrew? And the answer is absolutely. Lashon Kodesh Hebrew gets the job done even if you don't know what you are saying. It is the cosmic blueprint language that gets the job done. That, my friends, is the power that comes with praying in Hebrew, even if you don't know. Obviously, the optimal way to do it is to say it in Hebrew, know what you're saying, understand it, but not everyone is able to do that, and therefore, it is a good thing to kind of like figure out the words that you're saying, or at least the topic. You see in many Sidurim, you look on the English side, it'll give you a little synopsis of what that bracha in the Amidah is saying. So the ultimate is in Lashon Kodesh, and everyone has the mitzvah to pray, which means, and this is a little scary, that there are nations today on earth that are praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, praying to God, and God is listening to their tefillot. Let's say, chas v'shalom, those nations are praying to Hashem for the destruction, lo aleinu, chas v'chalila, of the Jewish people. Does Hashem listen to those tefillot? The answer is, you're going to have to say yes. Does he answer those tefillot? That is dependent upon us. Do our tefillot, my friends, overcome theirs? If it's a matter of quantity, we're in trouble, because there are way more of those people than there are our people, right? Even if you add all the Jewish people in the entire world, you've got 16 million, nowhere near the other nations who are praying to Hashem, lo aleinu, chas v'chalila, for our downfall. So we do hope that quality when it comes to prayer, and this is true, it does work this way, definitely defeats quantity, and therefore tefillah protects us, the entire Jewish people, even if not the entire Jewish people are praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay.